Welcome back to Creating Art. Today I am going to unpack my travel sketchbook and bag that I take with me on trips or leave in the car. That's just usually easy to do. It is my go-to bag, and most of my supplies stay in there, but I do use some things out of there all the time. So let's get started. So this is just a little bag I got from one of my students at school, and it's a little teacher bag, and it was supposed to be a pencil bag, because it's the influence of a good teacher can never be erased. And so I just decided to use it for my art bag. And so I love to fish, and I had a little fishing weight, and I put it in there. So this is where I keep all of my tools that I need in order to create something on my sketchbook. So when I first started sketching, I had really big sketchbooks that are bulky and just take a lot of room. But that's what I started on. And then I went to something that was a little bit more smaller and compact. And this is a Stillman and Byrne Beta series, which if you are serious about watercolor, this is a fabulous, I'll show you some pictures in there in a second, but they are fabulous pieces of paper. And I do like this. I still carry this around when I carry a bigger bag, but it's not super heavy, but it's also not super lightweight. But it is fairly, you can see it's a little bit bigger than my hand. So it is somewhat compact. But my kind of go-to when I'm doing something quick or easy, and I shared this with you in one of my other videos, is that this is a little tiny sketchbook, and this is a moleskin. And moleskin, I love the things with the pockets, just you can keep those in there. And then you can paint on both sides of these, and you can create things that are all the way across, or you can do just, one picture at a time. So I've shared that with you before, and this is kind of my go-to little moleskin that I like to carry when I don't want to carry anything larger than something like this. So what's in my bag? All right, I try not to shove it full of stuff, but I always do. This is a little sweatband, and I will put it on my wrist, actually my other wrist, when I am painting. I keep that in there because sometimes I forget to pack a paper towel, or if I'm just holding my sketchbook, I don't want this flowing away, so I won't take that. And when I use a paper towel for my watercolors to wipe off on, it's usually Viva makes a really good absorbent towel, and so that's what I like to use. And I've used that for years. It's kind of my go-to art towel. But this is easy because you can just wipe off right here. And so, and it's also, then you can throw it in the wash when you need to. All right, so I will have a glue stick, and I will also carry little scissors with me, because sometimes what you find are little, when you're out and about and touring or just visiting shops, you'll find a picture of a scene that's in a free magazine, and so sometimes I'll clip it out and I'll glue things in. Or maybe it's a ticket stub that you went on a fantastic trip. Maybe you took a little tour to Alcatraz and you want to remember it. So having a little bit of scissors and a little glue stick is perfect for just putting that immediately into your sketchbook. And with the older you get, sometimes you need a little magnifying glass if you're trying to look at things up close. And I know that's kind of silly, but I like it. And then this is my little whiskey painter that I've shared before. It is, I do not remember if I got this off Amazon or not, but you can hold it. And if you just Google whiskey painters, you can find it. You can see it came with only 8, and I used a little half trays, and I added 4 more in because I really wanted more colors. So I have shown this to you, but these are the colors in my whiskey painter palette right here. So that's what I like to use when I am traveling. So put that there. I have my little knead eraser, which everybody needs because the erasers on the end of pencils are not that great. Sometimes they get gummed up. So I carry that with me, and then of course with my little whiskey painter. I have a little water cup that it can clip if I need it to. And then sometimes I'll use this for a mixer as well. Obviously, I use that to mix too. So that's very handy to keep. And I don't fill that with water. I usually, sometimes if even, if I didn't have water, if I'm by a pond, I'll scoop up some of the pond water. Or I'll use like my tea. That works just as well. And then I have 3 different types of paintbrushes. This is one that is just a nicer paintbrush than one I'm about to show you, but I'll use this more fine tip, and I like it that it, you know, closes up and then it stays. And then of course the infamous water painters. I love these things. You fill them with water. Right here, you know, they break apart. I'm sure you've seen these before. And I have a big flat one, and then I use a skinnier one for smaller things. So I kind of use all 3 of those when I paint. This is more for background and sky to get something on my paper quickly. So those are my watercolors that I like, brushes that I like to carry around. And then I usually have a couple of clips in my bag, and you're like, well, what do you need clips for? Well, when you're in the middle of a book and your paper is flowing around, you can clip the edges. And sometimes I don't want to use this, so I will take that off and I will clip the edge, and then I can also just move it around a lot easier. And it's not, I know that if I set it down for a second, it's not going to fly and get the other side wet, which is perfect. All right, what else do I have in here? I have a white crayon, and that's for resist when I'm doing clouds or I'm doing white caps in the ocean. Invaluable, because instead of putting down a mask, you can just use a crayon. I love that. And then if you don't use a crayon, I carry a white gel pen that also I will go back and add highlights with. And then I do carry a Graph Gear, and this is a 0.7 pencil, and so I have erasers, and I have lead, and here's my lead. And then when I do carry real pencils, these are the kind of pencils I use. And so this is just a regular Prismacolor 4B pencil. It's not too dark. And then I have a Prismacolor, it's a blue, and it's pencil. And what I use this for is if I'm sketching something out and I don't want to do pencil, this is easily covered up by watercolor. So it's a great way to create something on your paper without it being too noticeable when you paint over it. So that's kind of an invaluable tool I use. And then my last pencil that I keep in here is a black grape, also by Prismacolor. And I use this for shading, and sometimes I will sketch a whole entire scene just using this, and then I will paint over it, and I will show you what that does when you're using it. But I'm not quite done with my, I know, like, how much stuff do you have in there? I have a lot. I have a little tiny stainless steel ruler when I want straight lines. I have a little graphite if I want to do something instead of using a pencil. And then of course I have, this is not a permanent, but sometimes I just like to write in blue. And then I have a Sharpie. This is a fine point. And then of course my microns. So I have a 1, a 3, and an 8. These are my go-to pens. I use them almost on every page of my sketchbook. And these are waterproof, and they're archival ink. And then I just have a fun little tiny pencil that I don't even know where I picked that up. And then one of my other favorite things I have in here is a bullet sharpener, pencil sharpener. This thing is like about $2 off of Amazon. It is the best pencil sharpener I've ever found. The problem is it doesn't collect your shavings. So if you have a place that you can put your shavings, that's perfect. But it really does sharpen your pencils without breaking them, and it gets a nice point and consistency. I tell you, it's wonderful. So I always carry that in my bag as well. All right, so now that I've unpacked my bag for you, I'm going to share with you just a few other things. So I talked about this grape pencil, this black grape, so I will sometimes create like a little mini sketch in this. This is in 14, so I am showing you some pictures from my old sketchbooks. And so please don't judge because I have changed a lot, and this is me getting started. This is one of my first books I ever did. And then here is another one that I did in purple, and then I added a little bit of watercolor. So what I like about this pencil is you can create some dark shadows, and if you just want to do a quick wash, you can see that, you know, the under part of the clouds was dark, and so that's what I like about it. Alright, so that is that sketchbook right here that I started with. And then I wanted just to share with you the how nice these Berman and Still Beta series are. So you can paint across the whole side, or you can do individual ones. So these are, these are a few years later in 2016 up the coast of California that I created. So these are fabulous, and if I'm not going to be walking around a lot, I will take these if I'm really going someplace. And this was a trip I went on for a camping trip to meet my friend who likes to camp at the Albion River. And so we would go sketching every day, and I knew I was going to have time to do that, so that was fun. But otherwise, I'm using these tiny little sketchbooks, and then if you like, this is an accordion fold artist journal, and this is also fun that you can open up and put different things on if you wanted to create a whole scene. This is when I was doing horses, and then you can also, I assume you can do the back. I haven't gotten to the back yet, but this is also very lightweight. So if you don't want to order a whiskey painter and you happen to have a bunch of Altoid boxes, these are fabulous. Sometimes I will use these for specific colors, like this has specific colors in here that I used, and it was for painting some walls, and so I just, and it's not colors I would not normally keep in my little whiskey painter, so I'll do things like this. And then of course you can buy tiny little watercolor sets. I always need a color guide because I use so many different ones that I forget what the colors are like. So this is why this was a fun one. I actually got this one over in Poland, and I am a collector of little watercolor sets, I have to admit. Don't tell my husband, but they are very fun. And then of course this was a new one. I got Koi watercolors, and this is a really neat one. It even comes, it's brand new. It came with this. This was kind of my fun year of the summer gift, and I've just started to use that. But I started off with, for watercolors, this is the one that I really, you can tell how much I love this one. This is the one I use all the time. It's breaking over here. It's probably time to get a new one. And then it opens up for different things like this, and if you want to hold it. But then again, here's my color guide, which is very hard to read, but it's great. So that is my unpacking of my sketch bag. Nothing professional, but it certainly is fun, and I enjoy it, and I hope you can get one together that you enjoy as well. Thank you. And if you like this video, please click